friends. I am super excited to share with you guys on Life Bonds Chit Chat Danyel Surrency Jones. She is a vision chaser. She's an entrepreneur. She's the founder of Power Hands. She is a woman on a mission. Hey, hi Danyel. I'm so excited to have you.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me. Sing off the screen.
You're so cute.
Oh my God.
I love you. That is...
Yes, hold on. Man, let me tell you, setting up these...
It's been a day.
Oh.
Have you ever thought about why it's so difficult to talk about race, religion, politics, Colin Kaepernick?
Okay, were you laughing?
Huh?
I was like, I want to stay on my honeymoon with you forever.
We can argue, but we'll make up and it'll be amazing.
Well, that means you think for yourself, right?
That's right.
You can't always just be, is it copacetic? You know, we just can't always agree on every single thing.
That's
I
right.
might like spearmint toothpaste and you might like mint.
And it's okay.
That's okay.
Let our honeymoon last forever. I just said I'm glad our energy connected, especially during this time, for us to say yes to each other.
And I want to learn from you, and I want to promote bonding. I do believe as we understand everyone's life story, it just helps us let our heart soften a little bit. It helps us get to know people, which I love doing. Where did you grow up? And what was your home life like growing up?
I am just humbled. A small town girl from Jacksonville, Florida, who is so proud to have a courageous conversation with you today.
My mother was an educator. She retired as a school teacher. She was one of the first Black teachers to join an all-white school after the Brown versus Board of Education Act. My father also grew up in Jacksonville, Florida. He spent time in the Navy, and after the Navy, he retired as an aircraft electrician foreman and was also one of the first to be chosen during the Equal Opportunities Act to be the liaison for people on the military base to help them. So there were a lot of firsts and pioneers, right?
Literally was just thinking they both pioneered.
Well, here's what's so interesting. They didn't realize that, though. They were fighting to fight another day. I realized that, and I give them their flowers to this day. Or I don't know if you saw this post, Melanie, that I put up where one of my mother's second grade students found me on LinkedIn, a white male, and said, "Oh my gosh, are you Miss Surrency's daughter? Because if you are, I lost touch with her and I'd love to get back in touch with her. She made such a huge impact on my life." And I posted that. They then had lunch. My mom, who's like 5'2" Black woman, this like 6'2" white man, and he is like so amazing and proud. And you know what I said to her? I said, "Mother, you may not have a trust fund to leave us, but your legacy is diversity, inclusion, and love. That's your legacy you left me." So she has taught us since day one as a Black woman pouring into students that did not look like her and friends that I had, and my sister and brother, we all went to school with her, K through 5th grade. And we brought kids home with us. They spent the night. Their parents trusted us. They were white, they were Asian, there were military bases that were right there. And so I grew up seeing the difference, knowing the difference, but loving.
Yes. Yes.
That's what my history from Jacksonville was. I'm so proud of where I'm from and my history. I went to a college preparatory school, 7th through 10th grade, then decided that I wanted to go to all Black school. And I was an athlete. I wanted to cheer and a majorette. And I was a cheerleader for the debate team at Stanton College Preparatory School. And so I wanted to go. Our football team was #1 at William and Raines, our basketball team. But Melanie, I didn't realize, and that's when I saw the difference, right?
Wow, yes.
The people were amazing, just like at Stanton College Preparatory School. They're brilliant individuals, but the resources And what I experienced at Reigns, I mean, I saw a gentleman being shot in the hallway, just a short distance away from me, right? And my mother was like, I can't believe, we've made this choice, but I'm so glad I did. My entire K through 10th grade was based on a very, very diverse culture where it was predominantly white schools, really focused on education. And William and Reigns had some brilliant people, some brilliant teachers, but it is in a Black community. It's a historically Black high school. And I got to see a difference and understand a difference of our journey and culture and learn more about our history than I had learned my other years. So I'm happy of that journey. And then,
if you could tell your 17-year-old self anything, what would it be?
Oh, wow. I would tell my 17-year-old self, Danyel, you are worthy and you are fearless. Because I did not understand my worth at 17, and I was not as fearless as I am today. So, and here's what's so beautiful, Mel. Our kids are now looking at the byproduct of what we were not at 17.
Yes.
Now, my 6-year-old daughter sees the fearless Danyel, the courageous Danyel. And that's what she gets every single day. And I instill, you are worthy. Do you know these next generation of kids are going to be powerful? Because
I agree.
And as women, we finally understand our brilliance.
They're teachable. I feel like they're, not that we weren't, but I don't know that I really was. I feel like they're wanting to learn and know more, and they're paying attention.
That's a great observation.
I see. I mean, with the young children in my life, they actually listen to me, including my son. So I have to be careful what I say. College boys asking me for advice and wisdom, which back in the day, I don't know at my age that we had, my peers were doing that with their friends' parents.
That is so true. I did with church, right? But to the degree, right, that we do it today, I think that we're a bit more intentional. And I do think that kids are, their freedom of speech is at a whole nother level.
Including maybe some bad words. I'm like, I would have never said that in front of
the clapbacks and the questions, I'm just like, Hartley Rose, like, what are you doing? So yes, you're absolutely right. I do think that they're teachable. I think that they observe more than we did. So I'm encouraged, and I'm proud of us. I'm proud of us for opening up and being vulnerable and being an example for them.
I hope so. Although I do like my pineapple martini. Is that a bad example?
Hello, no. When Hartley tells someone, you can't go in that cabinet. That's my dad's special cabinet. You can't.
That's why we have a lock on ours.
There you go. And I'm so fortunate. I got my undergrad at University of Central Florida. I then got an MBA at Florida International University. I started my career in big company medical device, and they paid for another degree, a Wharton marketing leadership degree. So I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd. I love academics.
These are my guests I have, are lifelong learners.
There you go. I pray my kids are nerds. But they may not be, because I think my daughter's an entertainer. But nonetheless,
you
can be both. I agree, because we were a little bit of both. But I then went from their big company medical device, almost 2 decades in corporate America. Wow. And boy, did I learn a lot. Learned a lot in corporate America. I was, again, the only, right? So I was only woman in most instances in big company medical device, and I was the only Black that was sitting at the table, at boardroom tables. And Yeah.
Back to pioneering.
Well, and I got pulled up by an amazing white woman who, her name is Kathy Failing, and I love her to this day.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you, Kathy. I thanked her on many different stages. She pulled me up, and I got to see a whole different world. I got to see a world of, here's how decisions are made. Here's how plans are put together. Here's how, where I thought that there was such a strategic approach to making a decision, kind of, no. I learned to maneuver and understand the corporate environment. And I also learned that, I may have had to work 3 times more to be recognized, but that builds the character. That built Danyel and the brilliance that I lean into today that has made me who I am.
You don't even look old enough to have these many years under your belt.
Oh my gosh. Did you see those?
Hello, look. I need some Botox, sister.
I need to do something about that.
Let's put together. We can add to this video. Do a part 2.
Oh my gosh, let's try it together.
You want to? Oh, you've never done it?
Never.
Okay, I'm taking you. The themes, just chit chat. Okay. I love the pioneer themes that are generational, and it's in you, and it's in your children, and it will be in their children. And it's super cool to look at the courage that you had, especially leaving the preparatory school.
You had to apply, but you didn't have to pay to get in.
Like the charter school, kind of?
You had to apply and your grades and pass a test in order to get accepted.
And then you wanted to leave that. That in itself takes courage. You have to make new friends. You have to start all over. It's really inspiring to me personally.
Well, and Mel, I would tell you, you have to start all over. And I felt awkward. I felt awkward in a school with all Blacks at that time. I felt more comfortable in an environment that was more mixed than I did around people that looked like me.
How did you make friends? How did you, not that you needed to be a chameleon by any means, but they've already had their friend groups formed. You're coming in 9th grade, 10th grade?
Well, the blessing was I knew some of the people based on, being a majorette, cheerleading, running track. So some of those individuals and other organizations that I was in. So, and my parents, and church. So I knew some people from that instance, but I was definitely still the new girl, right? And I felt that way. And I felt the awkwardness of trying to figure out how to fit in. And it was a different type of awkwardness. It was trying to figure out how to fit in with my own race. Yeah. And it was a different type of pressure. Well, I had another type of pressure when I was at, Stanton, where it was, I'm trying to figure out, how to be the smartest, how to show up every single day. Right. But at Raines, I had the pressure of how to be the smartest, show up every day, and also how to look good and how to make sure, it was interesting. It's a combination of, when we talk about biases and we talk about stereotypes, they live within races as well as they live outside of races.
Right. That's true. I think that's human nature.
It is. Because
we need to know, now it's not healthy, and we want to get over this and through this and not deal with those. That's ideal. Yes. But I think when we don't know how to do it, we need to put people in certain boxes. Like, okay, I need to know where Dr. Melanie fits so that I know how to relate to her, so that I, for whatever reasons, whether I'm feeling insecure or prideful or want to welcome her in, or I don't know what to do. So let me put her here. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. As a matter of fact, in my TEDx,
who will actually admit when I walked on the stage, the first thought that entered your mind was, who is this Black woman? Where did she come from? Is she Beyonce's cousin? You see, our minds are wired to make automatic judgment on others and behaviors because we want to move through the world without spending too much time trying to process every little thing we see. You see, who is this Black woman crossed the minds of the Black white, and blue people in this room. Although the white people think I'm calling them out, the black and the blue people thought the exact same thing.
I talk about the fact that we go through the world trying to spend very little time figuring out people because we really don't want to understand who and what they are. We want to put them in a box and categorize them and move on to the next. That's how our brain works. It's not an intentional act most of the time. It's just literally how our brains are wired.
Yes.
We move on to the next. But we get caught when you have a pattern of your brain being wired like that, and it's focused on certain groups, then that's when you build stereotypes. So I think it's you being very conscious of what you're doing, who you are, and how you think about other people is very important. It's very
important. Changing the inaccurate and really their lies we're believing.
Yes.
If you think about it. And so if you change, for instance, if I see someone that I don't know, and maybe they're tall and good looking, I might go, you know what? They're going to be prideful and like they're not going to be extroverted. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I'll stereotype a model, or they're not going to have a lot of, models, depth, or, something like that, where you have to be conscious of that. And in my mind, I'll actually flip to this pathway and say, they're probably deep. I actually will make myself assume the better part.
There you go. Yep.
It takes work.
Well, and it's just like saying little things, right? Like what you just said about a model. That builds a mindset. And if my child hears that, then it passes down a mindset. And so we have to be so conscious of what we say in the homes, what we say in our communities. And that's what I love about what today, right, brings, what you and I represent. You and I represent, it looks intentional, but it's not. It's leading with our hearts. And I think what we're seeing today with all of these different protests and people rallying around a cause, you're seeing a lot of people rallying around a cause where, they come from different ethnic backgrounds, they're in another country, and they're leading with their heart.
Right.
So if we can lead with our heart, we can create the intentional bonds that I know that you love and that you're promoting every single day. And the reason why I'm even on this call with you is because I just think the work that you're doing and what you represent is absolutely incredible. And we could bottle that up and put that in every single home, every single corporation, every single small business, church, PTA.
Really, it is a heart issue. And when our heart is transformed, everything changes. But I can't change your heart. You can't change someone's heart. It's such a person-to-person choice to do the work and to dig and to self-reflect. I know I don't even know, I can't even count how many people are fearful of even doing that, because what does that mean? What's going to come up? What's that going to dredge up? What do I have to deal with? What do I have to give up? What do I have to change? What do I have to do? Mm-hmm. So hopefully this conversation in whatever shape or form might give someone the little nudge to say, you know what? It is good to take that next step. And it is good to examine our hearts. Like, what if we really see things that we don't want to see and have to address it?
That's right.
Maybe it only betters us.
That's right. And you know what's so important? You take the NFL, for instance, right? I mean, that's a touchy subject, right? But if we stop looking at the person, and if we stop attacking the person, and we start looking at the system, and we say the system is broken, we are protesting, or we're trying to bring to your attention that something's not right with the system, and we're not attacking the person. We believe that you mean good. We believe that if we brought this to your attention that you want to change it, then I think that takes the fear, the uncomfortableness out of everything. When people think that someone's saying you're racist or you're intentionally not doing this right, no, it's just The system is shifting back and forth, and it's broken. It's not working.
And I love what you're saying. No matter whether that's parenting, I mean, it can be in friendship, in any human to human relationship or contact or dialogue. It's so true. If we can just sit and say, okay, let's have a mature conversation where you're not going to be easily offended. I'm not going to be easily offended. I'm not going to carry an offense. You're not going to carry an offense. Let's come with open hearts, open minds to hear one another. In the end, it just makes us better people. I mean, truly, in the end, it makes us better people, and it makes the world a better place. It makes our kids more emotionally intelligent, more mature, more available, loving, more well, more full. Mm-hmm. But it's fear. I feel like it's what I'm, you know me, I'm not political, so I'm not even alluding to anything specific. But in general, I see just this fear holding us back to what does that mean if I open myself up and I let myself actually go there? No matter who you are, whether even with my child, sorry, Michael, but let your heart feel. Let it go there.
That's exactly.
So yeah, sorry. I love what you're saying because I agree with you and understanding. And that's another reason I want to talk with you is we need to seek understanding, right? Knowledge is power, but transformation is freedom.
That's right. Absolutely.
And we don't get transformation without seeking to understand, right?
And that is the basis of the conversation that we need to have is understanding in everything. Yeah. And again, to your point, it stems from the boardroom down to the homes. It's really understanding and looking through someone else's lens instead of our own all the time, and putting ourselves in their position instead of always looking at it. If I was doing this or if I had done this, well, it's not you, it's them. And it's okay for them to feel that way.
Okay, yes. So everyone's feelings are valid.
That's right.
Whether you agree with them or not.
Yeah.
They really are. And I love you're saying this because yesterday I was sitting in there thinking, we really just need to see ourselves in everyone else.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it. That's it.
If I can just see myself in you, my love for you changes.
That's it. Mel, when George Floyd was killed, the post that I put up, I said, for those of you that are confused or that are sitting on the fence to understand if this is just or not, I said, I want you to imagine if this was your son or your brother or your father who and someone put their knee on them for over 8 minutes, how would you feel? Period.
Right.
And then you make the decision if you feel that, yes, they should have been treated that way because that's part of police protocol, or if you are ticked off and you feel that this was absolutely unjust. Mm-hmm. Right. And so take everything else out of the picture, but just that there's no one on this earth who could have been able to slot someone that they care about into that certain place and would not have been absolutely upset.
We have to, and I know that sounds so firm, but we have to look at people as people. And that's back to the heart issue. I mean, how many people do we know that look at people as a means to an end?
Exactly. Or as criminals.
Or as less than, or as more than.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. So when are we going to look at one another as ourselves?
And realize that it's not our place to judge someone as anything else other than.
No. And it comes back to us too. We forget that.
Yes,
when we're judging other people, you just wait. It's coming back to you. It's coming back to you.
Way too much power.
Yes.
Way too much power. Our society has created this situation where either you fit in this box or you don't. And I've got the power to make this decision, and I'm going to influence others in the process. And it's just, we've got to fix that.
I feel like the healthier we get, the less we do those things.
Yes.
Because we're not feeling threatened. We're not feeling insecure. We're not feeling fearful. We're free.
That's right.
So we don't have to judge, and we don't have to carry offenses, and we don't have to intentionally offend. You know, I might offend you unintentionally, which then it's our job to, will you forgive me? Will you, all that fun stuff about reconciliation.
That's right. Oh boy. I had no clue that all of these stretch positions and lateral moves that I had taken in my career were building up for me to be the CEO of Power Hands and the president of Power to Give Foundation, and to, be able to be a mentor to others with small businesses. I absolutely had no clue that I was building myself for this moment, that this table that God had prepared me for. And so today, that's what I do. Someone referred to it yesterday as Chief Empathy Officer now. I know, I love that. Instead of
I love that.
That's right. Me too, because that's exactly what we are. A global athletic training and rehabilitation product tech company. So we've designed, patented products that help professional athletes all the way down to youth athletes and fitness enthusiasts enhance their performance. And we have the Power to Give Foundation, which we started day one as an initiative and made it a 501c3 because we knew, my co-founder, myself, if it wasn't for community, church, Boys and Girls Club, we would not be the people we are today. And so we know the importance that sports combined with academics, the lifelong lessons that a child and a community can get when you give them the resources that they need to get ahead. We are a socially conscious company. So when you purchase products from Power Hands, it could be our weighted anti-grip patented gloves all the way to our weighted patented bodysuit. A portion of that goes to our Power to Give Foundation. And we have programming that is in the community from a form of skill development. We've worked with Nancy Lieberman, who I absolutely love, with her foundation as she's building dream courts. We worked with Boys and Girls Club to give money to reinstate their basketball program. We've even given one-on-one, oh my gosh, to during COVID, this wonderful letter from a mother whose child has one hand, who is a basketball sensation. And she said, do you think that she could benefit from Power Hands? Well, I don't have the funding right now to do that. We give from larger organizations such as AAU, 7-on-7s, community organizations, all the way down to individuals. Really focused on skill development, careers beyond the game. We're participating in an event and a partnership called Beyond the Ball. Darnell and I are actually talking about, here's what an entrepreneur looks like, right? You don't have to have aspirations of just being an NBA player or just being an NFL player, because let's look at the statistics, right? That's very slim. Or if you do make it there, let's make sure that you understand what business cards you should be getting so that you can establish your life beyond the game.
So good.
Did one other thing. So it was a dinner programming that I did with 32 of the NFL draftees that was called Power of a Dream. And I wanted to make sure that at that moment, before you get an opportunity to step on the stage to get drafted, that you really sat back and thought about what this moment means. After you get drafted, how you handle the very tough questions, how you actually manage your agent, right? So your agent's not managing you, how you manage your agent, what metrics you should be putting in place. What
you even know to look for.
Absolutely.
Sometimes they're young and they don't know what they should be doing and looking for and paying attention to.
Not at all. Or even the tough questions of my mother's now, who I absolutely love with my first contract. She may ask or expect a new house, right, or the new car, right? So how do I manage that? I want to give it to her, but how do we look at, long term, if this contract ends, right, tomorrow?
Mm-hmm.
What do we do to make sure that we capitalize off of the funds that are there? How do you invest? How do you have tax deferment strategies that are put in place? So that's what we focused on at that dinner.
So good. So good. So you're giving people the tools, really young kids, to help equip them for the future, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely.
And you're equipping the future.
This day and this time has reinvigorated me to make sure that, Mel, it's our job. Let's pull more women. Let's pull more mothers that are afraid to step out, that feel like they have to choose, right? I'm brilliant at being a mom. I'm brilliant at being a businesswoman, but it's a lot to juggle. No.
We then used a social sharing platform to launch our company. And so now we have over 250 affiliates. We have a social media reach of over 80 million, and that has expanded us into selling in 81 countries.
Wow. What would you tell the 25-year-old that really, you have it in you, that whatever, it's in your belly, and something's in there to be birthed, something's needing to be let out, but you do have children and you have a husband and you still need to have dinners. What would you say to that woman that's like, where do I even begin?
Well, where we begin is with purpose. To channel our purpose first. Our purpose should drive everything that we do, not money, not influence, not whose table we think is attractive, our purpose, right? And so our purpose then prioritizes things for us. So once the prioritization steps in, that creates order. We know God wants our life to be in order. When we have all this chaos that is driven by us, we can have order as a 25-year-old and be a mom and be a good wife and be a businesswoman. You have to prioritize based on your purpose, though. That's it.
Wow, that's good.
Say no to some of those other things. Sometimes you have to sacrifice being with your girlfriends and going out with them to happy hour. Sometimes you have to sacrifice and stay up late night hours in order to get the work done. Sometimes I don't believe in balance. I believe in my imbalance is my balance.
Balance, it's priorities.
That's right. And it's the acceptance of that and being able to say, I'm in balance right now, and look at your husband and say, we need a getaway. That you need, I'm falling short, we need a getaway. Or my kids, all day I have been very busy with work. Well, you know what? After this call, I am going to get them. We're going to put on our bathing suits and we're going to this water park that's been social distancing, and we're going to have an absolute blast. And it will make up for the whole week of me not doing mommy fun things, right?
Making up for it with the water park covers a multitude. Just doing those things where you're fully present really does cover a multitude of the times that you did have to stay up late, or you were tired the next day because the liquor cabinet was unlocked. Just kidding.
Now, well, but Mel, that's so true. I mean, because we put as women, like I had to explain this to Darnell because he really doesn't understand it, my husband. And now through counseling, he gets it. Our radars are always going off and we're always self-assessing ourselves. And I don't think men, they do that, right? So we're so hard on ourselves. Our kids, yes, they may want to spend time with us. And yes, they may have some feedback when we're not giving them the attention, but they're not missing out. They have a really, really, really good life, right? So that water park moment, being present as you just said, that will absolutely make up for, you don't have to sacrifice your brilliance in other areas for that moment.
Good. I know, I look at it like we have a dresser, and men have one drawer open, and women have every drawer open, and then our children have two drawers open, and they just want to crawl in one of those drawers.
Oh my gosh, yes! And then sometimes you want to push me out.
Yeah. And then sometimes we want to shut all the doors, but we can't. So what can we do as people, as women, as moms, as friends, as daughters, as coworkers, as peers, as neighbors? I can go on and on. What are your suggestions? Because I think all of us are trying to understand, or lack thereof, but we want to understand as much as we want to understand.
Yeah. A great question. And I think it starts with what you just did, right? So we have to be leaders and lean into the fact that we don't have all the answers, and that there needs to be a level of compassion and understanding. So I look at every single person's gifts. And I gave an example to my white trainer that I had, who I was on a Zoom call with. I chose him because he took time to understand who I was, and he met me where I was in my training. I got rid of my other trainer because he did not understand me. So if you use that empathy and that gift towards a Black man that doesn't look like you, and he's still not healed from the pain of the journey, or a Black woman, or an Asian person or an Indian person who thinks they're being left out of this journey right now, we will get there. So I really think it's leading with compassion and leaning into your gifts. That's the first. When you don't understand, lead with compassion and lean into your gifts. The second thing is what my TEDx talked about, was the Black elephant in the room.
All of us today to look through the lens of perspective. I am the Black elephant, representing all of the uncomfortable topics that will gracefully dance around me because we're afraid to address the 13-foot high, 14,000-pound elephant that will literally suffocate our thoughts and create roadblocks when we're trying to unite communities, advance talented women, and support entrepreneurs. The Black elephant is not about color. It's not about race. It's not about gender. It is about us, guys. It's about all of us truly unpacking our own fears and having those courageous conversations to make our community and this world a better place.
We've got to address the big Black elephant in the room. It's way too big to ignore. And so we have to have those courageous conversations and know, Mel, the Black elephant it's not about race. It's not about gender. It is truly about what you said earlier, unpacking our own fears. It's our own fears and self-assessment that keeps us from having those conversations with ourselves first, to address the issues, and then with others to reach a place of unity. That's the Black elephant that's in the room, right? So having those courageous conversations, and that is in the boardroom for corporations, all the way down to the homes and in between. That is so very important. And then I think the other thing is, we need within our ecosystem, first, we've got to start there. Like, I had a call yesterday with North Texas Food Bank, and we were on the call for an hour, 55 minutes. And I contemplated, do I speak up? We talked about the pandemic and the wonderful work that they did during the pandemic and are doing for the 55 minutes. And finally, I spoke up and I said, and you know what? Let's not forget that how you also lead in communities, and you're a bridge for disparities and for racial inequities. And so you need to lead with that. You need to make sure that you're a voice during this time. I challenge everybody to not be afraid to have those conversations and to bring those up with our leaders. Let's look at this in a different way. Let me understand how you feel. I need you to understand how I feel. We may agree to disagree, but when it comes to humanity, I want us to make sure our value system is aligned.
Right. Where do you place vulnerability? I'm just thinking about the corporate world, and we want to engage in dialogue. And some people are fearful of even just being vulnerable because of their own elephant in the room. We've done a lot of self-examination, a lot of digging, a lot of healing, a lot of work, to where we're able to have this discussion and we're excited about it.
Yeah.
And it's fun because it's purposeful and productive and hopefully helping. But what if some people aren't ready or they don't know how to handle what they're uncomfortable with? Do you have any suggestions, no matter who you are or where you come from?
That's a great question.
I know it's a hard question. I'm just thinking,
no,
in the workplace, people don't want to be vulnerable because not everyone, I'm just in general, in the workplace, it's hard to be vulnerable and open sometimes because people might use it against you. People might judge you. It might affect even your career path.
It makes perfect sense. And so here's how I can only experience share. So here's how I have dealt with moments when I was trying to break down walls and get people to be vulnerable. I use Danielle as an example. So I am past the not being vulnerable stage because I realized that my purpose on earth is way bigger than my ego. And my purpose on earth is absolutely to serve His kingdom, right? So if I can use myself as an example of where I failed and I've learned from that lesson, then repeatedly, over and over, right? Leading by example in that, I think that that will cause others to say, well, if she can do it, and if Mel can do it, or if Ruth can do it, or if Tim can do it, then maybe I can do it. And then maybe there's a practical exercise that goes along with it where it's not so much of a roundtable discussion, but maybe there is a one-pager that goes home with them, like our personal journal, and you ask them to write down, what am I going to do today to create change? What does that look like for me in the workplace? What does that look like for me at home? What does that look like for me in my church, in my gym, right? How do I smile more at the Black woman that walks in? How does the Black woman smile more at the white woman that walks in, right?
Yeah.
So maybe that's it, being vulnerable yourself and leading by example, and then a personal one-page workbook.
That's good for someone that's not quite ready. And then the people that are, know that you're the leaders. I mean, I feel like the ones that are most vulnerable are the ones that are leading the most.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So for whoever's watching, if that's you, there's responsibility. I remember when I first started doing all this, I feel like God said, okay, I've taught you all of this. You've been through all of this. You've experienced all this. And now it's time to give it away. The Black Elephant podcast.
Yes. I'm so excited. So I did my TEDx in January. Thank you, Dr. Trillian Small. Every single thing that is in that the TEDx is relevant to what we are experiencing today. And I'm really representing, when I talk about the Black Elephant, women having a seat at the table, small businesses, and overall entrepreneurs and innovators that don't come from privilege or pedigree, that need to make sure their voices are heard and have a seat at the table. So I'm launching my podcast because I want to make sure that during this time that we connect the individuals that don't have a seat at the table with the people that do have a seat at the table, and that we learn to build bridges, we learn to build economy, that we learn best practices, and we share the blueprint together. So that's what my podcast is going to be about. It will touch on topics of race relations. It would also touch on topics of business, which I absolutely love, and strategy, but we will unite at the end of the day and we will build bridges.
Amen. Amen. Is there anything better?
Nothing better.
There's nothing better.
Yes.
And great modeling. You're doing a good job.
I'm so proud of you and this amazing podcast and the work that you're doing and the light that you shine every single day, the healing that you do every single day, and the people that you touch. So please don't stop. Have no fear. Don't fear any topic. Don't fear of any person that you want to reach. This is your purpose, and this is what God wants you to do. And I want you to please make sure that with your voice that it is so loud and bold that it stretches not just within the states. I want you to connect with people in other countries to build bridges so that they bond. Like we need to heal across nations. And Mel, you can do that. You can absolutely do that. So I'm praying for you. I thank you so much for seeing me and inviting me. And I look forward to doing this work together. I am committed, sister, to doing this work with you.
I am as well. And as you know, I'm your biggest fan. We're going to stay on our honeymoon. I love you.
I love you more.
And we are not finished.
Oh.
I'm saying like we're not finished. Oh. Pause. We're finished, but we're not finished.
We're married now.
We're married and we're going to go to Botox next.
We're still divorced.
No, we're not divorcing. No papers for you. You're stuck. Okay, well, thank you for your time, Danyel. Thank you for your heart. Thank you for your mind. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for your passion. Thank you for your mission. Thank you for really just the path that you've walked and the sacrifices you've made and the blood, sweat, and tears and the late nights. And you're such an incredible mom and wife. Really cool to watch how you seamlessly appear to juggle it all. I don't know how you do it, but thank you. We are gifted to have you on this earth. I love you.
I love you. Bye.